Imagine, you're a humble maid, loyal and trusted, suddenly accused of stealing your boss's priceless diamond necklace. Fired and humiliated, your entire world collapses. But what if the truth hidden behind mansion walls was even more shocking? Accusations, betrayal, and secrets collide, exposing a reality nobody saw coming. Stay until the end, because what they discovered afterward will leave you speechless. Rain poured relentlessly onto the lavish marble driveway, soaking Maria's trembling figure as she stood outside the massive iron gates of the Caldwell mansion. Her curvy frame shivered beneath her thin uniform, dark hair clinging to her graceful shoulders, her usually warm brown eyes now brimming with tears. "You're fired for theft," echoed mercilessly in her ears, the accusing voice of Mrs. Caldwell cutting deeper than any blade. Maria desperately clutched a worn, soaked envelope, the supposed evidence used against her. The lavish mansion, a place she considered a second home, now loomed cold and unforgiving behind her. From the upper balcony, Evelyn Caldwell, elegant and intimidating, watched Maria's humiliation with cold satisfaction. Inside, Maria's mind raced. How could she prove her innocence when nobody believed the word of a poor maid against the influential Caldwell family? 3 days earlier, morning sunlight streamed gently through the mansion's luxurious dining room windows. Maria placed breakfast carefully onto the polished mahogany table, her soft voice warm as she greeted. "Good morning, Mrs. Caldwell. Is there anything else you need?" Evelyn barely glanced up, her elegant fingers flipping casually through her phone. "Just don't break anything," she replied coldly. Maria, swallowing her pride, nodded respectfully, yet inside she felt the quiet sting of humiliation, a daily reality in the shadow of wealth. Across the room, Jacob Caldwell, handsome and powerfully built, entered briskly, adjusting his tie. His striking presence always seemed at odds with his cold, distant demeanor. Maria's heart briefly fluttered but quickly sank with shame. She knew her place and knew better than to dream. Little did she realize, someone in that room would soon betray her trust, turning her quiet dignity into public disgrace. In the mansion's opulent study that afternoon, Jacob Caldwell paced anxiously, holding a priceless diamond necklace missing from Evelyn's collection. Evelyn's voice sharpened, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "Maria cleaned this room today. Who else had access?" Jacob shook his head uncertainly, guilt flickering momentarily across his chiseled face. "You can't just accuse Maria without proof," he cautioned, his voice strained. Evelyn smirked icily, waving dismissively. "Everyone knows they always steal something eventually." Her prejudiced words hung heavily in the room, toxic and unjust. A silent shadow lingered near the slightly open doorway. Maria had unintentionally overheard everything. Her heart sank painfully, humiliation washing over her. She wanted desperately to defend herself, but fear held her voice captive. As Evelyn lifted her phone to dial security, Maria turned, slipping away unnoticed. Would her silence cost her everything she'd worked so hard for? The next morning, security guards abruptly summoned Maria from the staff quarters, gripping her arm roughly and escorting her downstairs. She walked past whispering colleagues, their eyes filled with suspicion and pity. Evelyn stood at the mansion entrance, arms folded, cold and unforgiving. "Maria, did you steal the diamond necklace?" she asked sharply, her voice echoing through the marble foyer. Maria shook her head, voice trembling yet determined. "I swear, Mrs. Caldwell, I didn't touch it." Evelyn smirked cynically, presenting a blurry security photo of Maria near the jewelry cabinet. "Cameras don't lie," Evelyn sneered. Maria's eyes widened in disbelief. "Please check again. There's some mistake," she pleaded desperately. Evelyn turned away dismissively. "You're fired, Maria." "Leave now, before I involve the police." Outside, rain began to fall as Maria stepped numbly beyond the gates, her world crashing down around her. Night had fallen when Maria finally arrived home, a modest, worn-down apartment on the city's outskirts. Her younger sister, Sophia, bright-eyed and full of hope, rushed to greet her. Maria, you're soaked. What happened? Sophia's joyful expression quickly faded into concern as Maria broke into sobs. They accused me of stealing, Sophia. I've lost everything. Sophia embraced Maria tightly, her voice steady and reassuring. We'll figure this out. Truth always finds its way. Maria felt the crushing weight of humiliation and injustice, but Sophia's unwavering faith ignited a flicker of hope inside her heart. Exhausted yet restless, Maria sat quietly, replaying the events repeatedly in her mind. She remembered clearly. Someone else had entered the study after her. But who? The thought gripped her tightly, refusing to let go. Could this faint memory hold the key to her redemption? Back at the mansion, Jacob paced anxiously, his face etched with conflict. Evelyn watched him suspiciously, her elegant presence dominating the room. Why so nervous, Jacob? Maria's gone. Problem solved, she stated coldly. Jacob met her gaze directly, frustration simmering beneath his calm exterior. Maybe we were too hasty, Evelyn. Maria has never been dishonest before, he argued cautiously. Evelyn laughed bitterly. They all pretend to be trustworthy until they're caught. Jacob clenched his jaw tightly, tension thickening between them. Alone moments later, he opened his drawer, revealing the diamond necklace he secretly recovered behind Evelyn's dresser earlier that day. Guilt and uncertainty tore through him. He knew Evelyn's judgment had been unfair, perhaps intentionally so, but confronting her meant risking everything. Should he reveal what he found and restore Maria's honor, or let fear and silence maintain his fragile marriage? Early the next morning, Sophia gently woke Maria, determination glowing softly in her hopeful eyes. Maria, you can't let them ruin your life. You have to fight back, she urged. Maria sighed, shaking her head sadly. It's their word against mine, Sophia. Who will believe a poor maid? Sophia grabbed Maria's shoulders, looking deeply into her eyes, her voice firm yet tender. Truth doesn't recognize rich or poor, Maria. It just needs courage. Her words resonated deeply, igniting something fierce and resilient within Maria. Later, as Maria gathered her belongings, an unexpected knock startled them. At the door stood Jacob Caldwell, rain-soaked and visibly distressed, eyes filled with remorse. Maria's pulse quickened, unsure what to expect. Jacob hesitated briefly, then quietly confessed, I found the necklace. You didn't steal anything, Maria. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. Maria stood frozen, her emotions tangled between relief, anger, and cautious hope. Could Jacob truly be trusted? Jacob entered Maria's modest apartment cautiously, feeling profoundly out of place among the humble surroundings. Sophia eyed him suspiciously from across the room, protective anger flickering in her gaze. Maria motioned for Jacob to sit, her voice shaking yet dignified. Why did you come here now, Mr. Caldwell? Why not earlier, when it could have saved my job and my dignity? Jacob's handsome face filled with shame, his muscular frame hunched with the weight of guilt. I was afraid. Evelyn and I, our marriage is complicated, he admitted quietly, vulnerability in his tone surprising Maria. I shouldn't have allowed fear to silence me. Sophia stepped forward protectively. Words mean nothing without action. If you're truly sorry, Mr. Caldwell, make this right publicly. Jacob nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the moment. Maria studied his sincerity cautiously. Would his courage match his remorse? That afternoon, Evelyn hosted a lavish charity event at the mansion, smiling gracefully before elite guests and influential friends. Champagne glasses clinked delicately, and laughter filled the luxurious halls. Suddenly, Jacob stepped onto the grand staircase, microphone in hand, face pale yet determined. I have an important announcement, he began, his voice echoing powerfully through the room. Evelyn's eyes narrowed dangerously, sensing trouble. Maria, our maid, was wrongfully accused and fired, Jacob confessed boldly. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Evelyn's face flushed in anger and humiliation. Jacob held up the necklace, clear proof shining brightly under the chandelier's lights. She was innocent all along. The real thief. He paused dramatically, his gaze slowly shifting toward Evelyn. Hid behind privilege and lies. The room fell into stunned silence as Evelyn's facade shattered before everyone's eyes. Would this revelation finally restore Maria's honor or unleash further chaos? Evelyn stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief, face reddening with embarrassment and rage. The lavish ballroom was silent, all eyes fixed on her and Jacob. Her voice, normally commanding and cold, trembled with barely contained fury. "How dare you, Jacob, after everything we've built together?" Jacob met her gaze steadily, his handsome features calm yet resolute. "We built nothing but illusions, Evelyn, and I'm done pretending," he declared boldly. Murmurs rippled through the stunned guests, the scandal unfolding openly. Evelyn turned desperately to her friends, seeking support, but was met with uncomfortable glances and distancing gestures. Her power had unraveled in mere moments. Watching from the doorway, Maria stood speechless, heart pounding, tears of vindication welling in her eyes. Had justice finally triumphed, or was the true storm yet to come? In the chaotic aftermath, Maria quietly retreated outside, leaning against the balcony railing, breathing deeply as the evening breeze brushed gently across her tear-stained cheeks. Sophia approached softly, placing a comforting arm around her sister. "You did it, Maria. The truth finally surfaced," Sophia whispered warmly. Maria shook her head slowly, still overwhelmed. "But what comes next, Sophia? Where do I go from here?" Suddenly, the quiet sound of approaching footsteps made them turn. Jacob stood hesitantly, his expression humble and sincere. "Maria, I owe you more than an apology," he began carefully. "I've arranged for your reinstatement, but I understand if you won't accept. More importantly, I promise you respect and protection." Maria stared at him cautiously, feeling a profound shift in her own sense of worth and dignity. Could she trust Jacob enough to return to a place filled with painful memories? Days later, Maria walked confidently back through the mansion's front doors, head held high, dignity restored. Fellow employees greeted her warmly, relieved and proud. Evelyn, stripped of authority and isolated, glared bitterly from a distance. Jacob approached Maria respectfully, offering a gentle smile. "Thank you for returning, Maria. The mansion needs people of integrity." Maria looked around thoughtfully, her voice steady and dignified. "Integrity begins with trust and truth, Mr. Caldwell. I hope we've all learned that." Evelyn's sharp voice suddenly echoed from behind, bitter and venomous. "Enjoy your small victory, Maria. I still own this place." Maria met Evelyn's cold gaze without flinching, her calm response resonating powerfully. "You may own this mansion, Mrs. Caldwell, but you'll never own my dignity again." The powerful words lingered in the air, signaling a clear transformation. But would Evelyn accept defeat or plot a devastating retaliation? Life within the mansion slowly settled into a new rhythm. Maria resumed her duties, earning newfound respect from the staff, who now looked up to her with admiration rather than pity. Jacob made conscious efforts to right the wrongs of the past, quietly improving working conditions and fostering a culture of dignity and fairness. Yet behind closed doors, Evelyn seethed in resentment, her social standing crumbling around her. One evening, Maria was tidying Jacob's study when Evelyn appeared silently in the doorway, her elegant figure exuding quiet menace. "Don't think you've won, Maria," she hissed, her voice low and dangerous. "You've merely delayed the inevitable. One slip-up, and I'll ensure you lose everything again." Maria straightened, meeting Evelyn's gaze firmly. "I have nothing to hide, Mrs. Caldwell. Can you say the same?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed dangerously. What secret was Evelyn hiding beneath her confident facade? Late that night, Evelyn quietly entered the study, locking the door carefully behind her. She moved swiftly to Jacob's desk, searching desperately through drawers and files, her elegant features twisted by anxiety. Behind her, the door suddenly opened, revealing Jacob standing silhouetted against the dim hallway lights. "Looking for something, Evelyn?" His voice was calm yet cold, startling her. Evelyn spun around defensively, feigning composure. "Jacob, Just needed some paperwork. Jacob stepped closer, his eyes filled with disappointment and resolve. I found the evidence you hid. The documents proving your secret dealings. You framed Maria to protect your own crimes. Evelyn's face paled, her bravado collapsing instantly. Please, Jacob, you wouldn't destroy your own wife, she pleaded desperately. Jacob shook his head sadly. You destroyed us, Evelyn, the moment you betrayed our trust. I'm sorry, but justice demands honesty. Evelyn's carefully built world shattered around her. How would she cope with total exposure? The following morning, police cars lined the mansion driveway, their flashing lights casting ominous reflections upon the mansion's marble exterior. Detectives escorted Evelyn out, her usually immaculate appearance disheveled, eyes wide with disbelief. Maria watched quietly from the entrance, emotions complex yet powerful. Jacob stood silently beside her, remorse and resolve evident on his face. Maria, I'm truly sorry you suffered because of Evelyn's deceit. You deserve more than an apology. You deserve justice. Maria nodded gently, deeply moved. Reporters swarmed the gates, cameras flashing, capturing every humiliating detail of Evelyn's fall from grace. Suddenly, a reporter shouted, Maria! How does it feel to have your honor restored? Maria stepped forward slightly, her voice steady yet humble. Justice is not revenge. It's truth finding its place. Her simple, heartfelt words resonated profoundly, capturing the hearts of everyone listening. But was this truly the end? Or would Evelyn's downfall spark unforeseen consequences? News of Evelyn's scandal spread rapidly, headlines broadcasting her disgrace and Jacob's decisive role in uncovering the truth. Public opinion swung dramatically in Maria's favor, turning her from victim to admired heroine overnight. Gifts and supportive letters flooded into the mansion, overwhelming Maria emotionally. Yet despite the newfound admiration, Maria felt a quiet unease. Her modest upbringing had taught her that true happiness didn't come from fame, but rather from inner peace and integrity. Jacob, too, felt uneasy. Though vindicated, the emptiness of his shattered marriage haunted him. One evening, as Maria arranged flowers in the living room, Jacob approached cautiously. Maria, after everything you endured, why did you choose to forgive and stay? Maria's eyes softened as she replied gently, quoting Eleanor Roosevelt, No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Her strength deeply moved Jacob, making him question his own path forward. Was redemption still within his reach? Days later, Evelyn, now stripped of her glamour, sat alone in a stark detention center, shadows deepening the lines of bitterness etched on her face. Jacob entered quietly, his footsteps echoing against sterile walls. She looked up sharply, anger mingling with desperation in her gaze. Have you come to mock me, Jacob? He shook his head solemnly, sorrow evident in his eyes. I came to offer you a chance at redemption, Evelyn. Admit your wrongs, clear Maria fully, and perhaps find your own peace. Evelyn laughed bitterly, pride still blinding her. Redemption? The world judges harshly, Jacob. No apology will ever restore my reputation. Jacob stepped closer, voice firm yet compassionate. Redemption isn't about reputation. It's about freeing your conscience. Think about it. As he turned to leave, Evelyn's defiant facade cracked slightly. Alone once more, she sat in painful silence. Could she face her own reflection and choose truth over pride? In a modest ceremony at the mansion, Jacob publicly honored Maria's unwavering integrity before a gathering of friends, colleagues, and media. Maria stood humbly beside him, her presence dignified and serene. Today, Jacob began, voice filled with sincerity, we celebrate a woman whose strength of character taught us that justice and honesty are not privileges of the wealthy, but rights for everyone. Cheers and applause erupted warmly from the audience, filling Maria with gratitude and pride. Afterward, Sophia embraced Maria tightly, whispering joyfully, You did it, Maria. You changed everything. As the guests slowly dispersed, Jacob approached again, his expression earnest. Maria, I've learned more from you than anyone else in my life. I'd like you to help me transform this mansion into a place of true dignity and compassion. Maria met his gaze thoughtfully, sensing the authenticity of his request. Could this once painful place finally become a beacon of hope, or would past wounds prevent lasting change? Weeks turned into months, and under Maria's guidance, the mansion gradually transformed. Gone was the oppressive air of superiority and injustice. Instead, genuine respect and warmth filled the grand halls. Jacob actively participated in community service, humbly dedicating his resources and energy toward helping the less fortunate. The local community began seeing him not as the distant heir to wealth, but as a compassionate man seeking true redemption. One afternoon, Maria walked beside Jacob through the mansion gardens, now flourishing with vibrant flowers. Jacob paused thoughtfully, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Maria, you've given this place new life, something my family could never achieve." Maria smiled gently, replying softly, "I merely planted seeds, Mr. Caldwell. Real change requires daily care and sincerity." Jacob nodded deeply, fully understanding her meaning. But as they shared this moment of genuine connection, neither realized Evelyn was quietly being released from custody, her bitterness stronger than ever. Would her release reignite past tensions? Late that evening, Maria was alone tidying the quiet mansion library when the soft click of heels broke the silence. Turning swiftly, Maria's pulse quickened. Evelyn stood in the doorway, pale, drawn, yet composed. "Maria," Evelyn spoke quietly, her voice strained yet controlled. "I didn't come here to fight." Maria steadied herself, maintaining quiet dignity. "Then why have you returned, Mrs. Caldwell?" Evelyn's usually cold eyes softened slightly, vulnerability breaking through. "I lost everything. Status, wealth, respect. But losing it made me realize the value of what I never truly had. Dignity." Evelyn's voice cracked with genuine emotion, her guard finally down. Maria listened carefully, sensing sincerity but wary of deceit. Evelyn stepped closer, speaking quietly. "I falsely accused you to hide my own mistakes. I'm ready to publicly confess the full truth." Maria stood speechless, heart torn between hope and suspicion. Could Evelyn genuinely change, or was this yet another calculated move? The next morning, cameras crowded the mansion's front steps once more, reporters awaiting Evelyn's shocking announcement. Maria stood close by, her presence calm yet alert, Jacob beside her offering quiet support. Evelyn stepped forward nervously, her elegant presence humbled yet dignified. Facing the flashing cameras and skeptical eyes, Evelyn spoke clearly, her voice surprisingly steady. "Today, I publicly admit my guilt. Maria was never the thief. I framed her to protect myself." Gasps echoed through the crowd, disbelief turning swiftly into astonishment and admiration for Evelyn's courage. Maria met Evelyn's gaze, and for the first time, mutual understanding flickered briefly between them. Evelyn continued emotionally. "My arrogance blinded me. Today, I seek forgiveness, not from society, but from Maria, who endured the consequences of my lies." Maria felt tears sting her eyes, overwhelmed by the sincerity of Evelyn's confession. Could this admission finally heal the wounds of the past, or would lingering resentment prevent true reconciliation? Evelyn's stunning confession became the talk of the town, spreading swiftly through media channels. Public opinion, previously harsh and unforgiving, softened noticeably toward Evelyn, recognizing her courage in openly admitting guilt. Maria found herself unexpectedly thrust back into the spotlight, praised for her dignity and strength throughout the ordeal. Invitations poured in for Maria to speak at local events, highlighting her remarkable story. Yet beneath the newfound acclaim, Maria quietly struggled. One evening, while walking home through the garden, Maria stopped by the fountain, its tranquil waters reflecting the moonlight. Jacob approached gently, sensing her internal conflict. "You seem troubled, Maria," he said softly. Maria sighed deeply, her eyes thoughtful. "Forgiveness is easy to talk about, but hard to truly feel. How do I forgive Evelyn for stealing months of my life? Jacob paused thoughtfully, replying quietly, "Forgiveness isn't about excusing the past. It's about freeing yourself for the future." Could Maria truly embrace such forgiveness? Days later, Maria visited Evelyn in her modest new apartment, far removed from the luxury Evelyn once knew. Evelyn opened the door, surprised yet humble, inviting Maria inside hesitantly. The small apartment was simple, tidy, and filled with an unfamiliar warmth. Maria took a seat, carefully choosing her words. "I didn't come here to confront you, Evelyn. I came to find closure for both of us." Evelyn's gaze softened, her voice sincere. "Maria, I realize now how deeply I wronged you. Pride blinded me, but losing everything taught me humility." Maria listened quietly, moved by Evelyn's genuine remorse. Evelyn continued emotionally, "I don't expect your forgiveness, but I truly regret my actions." Maria took a deep breath, feeling the weight of resentment slowly lift from her heart. "Holding on to anger only punishes ourselves," Maria replied softly. Evelyn nodded, tears in her eyes. Could their mutual pain finally lead to peace? Returning home that night, Maria felt lighter than she had in months, finally free from resentment's heavy burden. Her phone buzzed, a message from Jacob asking to meet in the garden. Under moonlight, Jacob stood waiting, his handsome face illuminated softly, eyes filled with warmth. "Maria, your ability to forgive Evelyn inspired me deeply. I've never met anyone as genuinely kind and resilient as you." Maria blushed slightly, heart racing gently. Jacob stepped closer, sincerity clear in his voice. "The mansion no longer feels right without you at its heart. I'd like you to help me build something meaningful together." Maria smiled warmly, touched by his sincere invitation. "I'd be honored, Jacob," she answered softly. Under the stars, their mutual respect blossomed quietly into deeper affection, promising new beginnings. Yet, would their growing closeness heal all wounds, or stir lingering envy and judgment from those around them? Maria and Jacob's deepening connection quickly became evident to those around them. While many staff and community members celebrated their blossoming relationship, whispers of doubt and judgment also began to emerge. Some friends quietly questioned Jacob's sincerity, suspecting he was merely attempting to repair his tarnished reputation by associating himself publicly with Maria. One evening, Maria overheard two housekeepers talking quietly in the kitchen. "Do you really think Jacob loves Maria? Or is she just convenient for his redemption?" one asked skeptically. The other shook her head sadly. "I worry Maria's being used again." The painful words cut deeply into Maria's heart, sowing seeds of doubt she'd tried hard to avoid. Later that night, Maria walked silently through the mansion halls, burdened by anxiety and uncertainty. Approaching Jacob's study, she heard raised voices, Jacob heatedly arguing with a prominent family friend who sharply criticized their relationship. Maria froze, heart pounding. Could the accusations of Jacob's motives hold truth? Maria quietly stepped closer to the slightly open door, listening anxiously to Jacob's impassioned voice. "I won't tolerate anyone questioning my feelings for Maria. She has more integrity than anyone I've known. I love her genuinely, not as a tool for redemption." Maria's breath caught in her throat, tears filling her eyes at the powerful sincerity in Jacob's declaration. The friend's voice softened defensively. "Jacob, I meant no offense. But you must understand public perception," Jacob replied firmly. "Public opinion won't dictate my heart. Maria deserves my complete honesty and commitment." Maria backed away silently, her heart swelling with relief and affection. Jacob's sincerity was undeniable, but would their bond withstand constant scrutiny and external judgment? The next day, Jacob organized a small gathering at the mansion, inviting the mansion's entire staff and close friends to formally announce their relationship. Standing before the assembled guests, Jacob took Maria's hand gently, his voice steady and heartfelt. "I want everyone here to know openly and without question. My love and respect for Maria are genuine and unconditional. She taught me the meaning of courage, integrity, and true compassion. Maria felt tears slide softly down her cheeks, deeply moved by Jacob's public affirmation. The staff erupted into warm applause, supportive smiles erasing lingering doubts and whispers. Sophia beamed proudly from the crowd, knowing her sister had finally found the happiness she deserved. As the celebration continued joyfully, Jacob gently leaned closer, whispering tenderly, "Together we can build something meaningful, free from the shadows of our past." Yet even amidst joy and hope, a silent figure watched bitterly from outside, determined to disrupt their newfound happiness. Could Maria and Jacob's relationship withstand another shocking revelation? Days later, Maria and Jacob worked side by side, transforming the mansion's grand ballroom into a community event space, a symbolic act to embrace openness and humility. Their laughter echoed warmly through the spacious hall as they decorated together, building not just a new space, but shared dreams. However, outside the mansion, hidden in the shadows, Evelyn stood watching bitterly. Her appearance now drastically changed, tired, worn, and hardened by resentment. Unable to accept her downfall, Evelyn quietly entered through a side entrance, unnoticed. Clutching tightly a concealed envelope, her eyes blazed with determination. Approaching the ballroom silently, she hesitated briefly, conflicted, yet driven by bitterness. Her intention clear, revealing a past secret meant to destroy Jacob and Maria's fragile happiness. Could their newfound love withstand one final, devastating revelation? Evelyn suddenly entered the ballroom, startling Maria and Jacob. Her face pale and bitter, she held the envelope out defiantly. "Jacob, you claim honesty, but have you told Maria everything?" Jacob's expression tightened anxiously, confusion flickering across his face. Maria felt a cold wave of dread, heart hammering painfully. Evelyn continued sharply. "Before our marriage ended, Jacob wrote this." She handed Maria the envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten by Jacob years earlier, detailing his initial doubts about Maria's innocence and expressing fears that Maria indeed betrayed their trust. Maria's hands trembled, eyes filling with hurt and betrayal as she read Jacob's past words. Jacob stepped forward, voice breaking with emotion. "Maria, please understand. This was before I truly knew you, before you taught me the meaning of trust." Maria met Jacob's gaze, heart aching deeply. Could she forgive past doubts, or had trust been permanently shattered? Maria stood silently, the painful letter clutched tightly in her hands, emotions overwhelming her. Jacob stepped closer gently, his eyes earnest and pleading, voice sincere. "Maria, love isn't built on perfection. It grows from honesty and forgiveness. Yes, I doubted once, but every day since, you've taught me true faith, integrity, and love." Maria took a deep breath, tears streaming softly down her cheeks. Evelyn watched bitterly, expecting victory, but instead witnessing profound strength as Maria slowly spoke. "Jacob, trust isn't about never doubting. It's about choosing honesty even when it's painful." Turning gently toward Evelyn, Maria continued firmly yet kindly. "You sought revenge, Evelyn, but all you revealed was how deep Jacob's transformation truly runs." Evelyn's bitterness crumbled into defeat. As Maria reached tenderly for Jacob's hand, their eyes met, deep affection and renewed trust visible. Maria whispered softly, quoting Maya Angelou, "Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon." Standing together, surrounded by truth, forgiveness, and courage, Maria and Jacob embraced, knowing their future was finally theirs to build, stronger, wiser, and unbreakable.